Hey guys, how's it going? Forgive the echo again. I'm having to stand a little bit further back from the camera. It's also a very windy day, so there's probably tons of background noise, especially since I don't have my microphone. Anywho, we're going to go ahead and jump straight in. Today we're talking about articles in English. These articles are known as a, an, and the. Ooh, just realized I have a fancy highlighter. So the articles we're going to talk about today are a, and the. And articles are used to attach to a noun, or rather they point to a noun, and that'll make more sense as we go. Also, they're always singular nouns. So if you're seeing that you're dealing with a plural noun of some kind, you would not attach an article to it. So it would not be appropriate. So like an example would be, I have a carrot, right? I wouldn't say I have a carrots. I would just say I have carrots instead. You would actually drop the article because, again, these articles are only going to be used for singular nouns. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the first article, which is an. An is probably one of the more confused of the articles because oftentimes, at least in my class, I've seen students struggle to determine whether or not to use a versus an. And so I can just tell you a really quick, simple rule that once you learn it, you'll know every time. So let's do it. All right, so for an, again, you're going to use it before a word or a noun specifically that begins with a vowel. So if the noun you're attaching it to begins with a vowel, then you would not use a as an article. Instead, you would use an. And just as a reminder, as I switch over to my pen, a vowel, there's 5 of them in English. Of course, there's always the 6th, but that's another exception. But anywho, we're going to stick with the standard 5. These are always taught as A, E, I, O, and U. Now, if you're looking at a word that, for example, like ice cream, forgive my handwriting. So I've got ice cream, and I want to ask for ice cream, I would say, can I have an ice cream? Not a ice cream. That would be an incorrect article to use in that situation. Because I can see right there, I is a vowel, and so I would know right away that I need to use the article an. Also, you're going to use an, not just when the word actually begins with a vowel, which you always will, but when it begins with what's called a vowel sound. And this one's a little bit more tricky. I'll give you an example of a vowel sound. So we've got words in English with a silent letter that omitted, meaning when you're speaking, even though the letter is present in the word, when you speak, it's omitted. So you're not actually going to hear it. It's kind of softened in a way. An example would be our, and I'm going to spell that one. Oops, come on. Sorry, guys. Go back. Oh, stop. Hour, as in time. Not hour as in a group possessive, but hour as in like the time of day. So the H is not a vowel. You'll notice it's not an A, it's not an E, it's not an I, it's not an O, it's not a U. It's not a vowel. However, it's a silent letter, and so once dropped, you're really only hearing the vowel sound. So even though, again, it doesn't start with a vowel, you are still going to use the article. If I can get this tool to work, guys. Come on. You're going to use the article an. So an hour. And again, there's always exceptions, but for the most part, most vowel sounds come with words that start with an H, right? Again, always exceptions. All right, we're going to go ahead and look at the next article, which is a. And you'll notice that in these notes that I have, I wrote that it's general. And what I mean by that is it's the same thing as saying any. So when something is general, it means it is not specific. It's just talking about any old thing of a particular category. So like example that I gave is I'd like a cookie. So if I walk into a bakery and I see on display a whole assortment of cookies, they could all have different flavors. They may not be the same kind of cookie, but if I speak to the baker and I just say, oh, I'd like a cookie, what I'm telling him is I don't care which of those cookies I'm going to get. I just want a cookie, a general cookie. Could be any flavor, chocolate chip, blueberries, whatever your favorite cookie is. Think about it. But I'm not asking for a specific, I'm asking for a general. So something within that category, but none of the ones that I'm picking. I don't get to pick. Hopefully that was a little easier. Oh, and again, you would attach the a as an article to a noun that begins with a consonant. So just as a reminder, consonants are literally any letter that is not a vowel. So if it is not an A, an E, an I, or a U, then it tells you right away, oh, it's a consonant. So, okay, if it begins with a consonant, with the exception of the vowel sounds, of course, then I would use the article a. All right. We're going to go ahead and look at the third article I mentioned, which is the. Okay, so the is a specific, meaning it's the opposite of general. So think of it as opposite to the article a, like a cookie. I'm not asking about a certain cookie, I'm just saying any cookie. I'm being general. With the, you're being as specific as possible. So in the same bakery, if I walk in and ask for the cookie, I would have to direct the person I'm speaking to, their attention, to a specific cookie that I'm looking for, right? So again, being specific, this is where you often will have a choice. So if I asked a student in my classroom to give me a pen or a pen sitting on my desk, they would just grab anything that resembled a pen. I'm not asking for anything specific. However, if I rephrase it and attach the article the, I'm now being as specific as possible. And so now when I tell this or ask the student, oh, can you hand me the pencil or pen? They hear the word the and they know I'm referring to a specific pen sitting on my desk or in the mug or wherever. And so I would then need to direct their attention to determine which of those pens or pencils or whatever I want. So again, you're just being specific. All right, so in English we have multiple rules and multiple exceptions to those rules, which almost makes it seem pointless for having rules in the first place, but here we are. So if you notice on the screen, I wrote second time. So use it when? Oh, second time. I'm going to explain what this means. So this is when you would use the article the. You would talk about the same noun in the sentence. So if you've got a phrase, so you've got multiple sentences, you would use the in this particular circumstance, let's say. So the sentence I give is, I ate some bread. Now you're going to notice that I use the word some, and some refers to not a specific quantity. That's an arrow, by the way. Not a specific quantity. Instead, I am referring to an unspecified or uncountable amount of, in this case, bread. So this is where you actually would never attach an article. For instance, I wouldn't say I ate the bread. I mean, I suppose you could if you're being specific about the bread that you're eating. But in the case of the sentence I wrote where it's uncountable and I said I eat some bread, there's no defined amount. You'll notice in the second sentence of this phrase, I wrote the bread was horrible. I could have said good, it doesn't really matter. But notice how after I just told you, you wouldn't attach the as an article to an uncountable noun. In this case, I'm using uncountable for bread. Except for the second time it's mentioned in a phrase is when you would use the article the. So reading the sentences again, I have, I ate some bread. The bread, so the specific bread, was horrible. So that's kind of one of those rules and exceptions. So while you wouldn't attach the to an uncountable noun, you would, however, attach it to an uncountable noun the second time mentioned in the same phrase. So if you can remember that rule, you're off to a good start. All right, so hopefully this lesson on the three articles in English, three major articles in English, will help to clarify when to use the article a versus when to use the article and also when to use the article the, without being too confused. Thank you again. As always, I really appreciate your effort and just kind of following along with these videos, taking notes and sending me suggestions and comments regarding the content so that I can help to improve it and make it more useful for you. So as always, have a great day and continue learning. All right, bye guys. Oh, I'm gonna stop my recording.